finally, the heavyweight championship fight. The two biggest bulls, frequently weighing in at more than a ton apiece, come together to decide which will dominate the entire herd. In human terms, it's a lot like arm wrestling, a grand display of puffing and power, with the victor getting his pick of the females. Today, more than 25,000 live as proof that man really can save a vanishing creature if only he cares to. The last surviving colony of white pelicans in Colorado lives on an island in the Riverside Reservoir about 40 miles from Greeley. Like all white pelicans, they must have a secluded island surrounded by fresh water on which to breed and raise their young. And that's part of the reason why there are so very few of these birds left in the entire country. Too often, the expanding human population has crowded them off their island retreats. Anything from a sonic boom to a curious tourist can frighten the adults off their nests and into the air. Sometimes they circle for hours overhead, leaving their eggs and baby birds unprotected from gulls and other predatory birds. Drought and ambitious water management schemes have lowered the water levels around their islands to such a degree that coyotes and other predators have been able to reach the islands and devour the helpless young birds. Here in Colorado, where the water level has sometimes reached dangerously low levels, heavy equipment has been used to shore up the island and keep it separated from the mainland. If it were not for these protected nesting islands, it's very doubtful that the breed could survive at all. Adult pelicans have very few natural enemies, but the mortality rate among the young birds is so high that less than half survive to adulthood. The young leave the nest at about 2 weeks, and from that moment on, the adults do little to protect them. The adults spend little time guarding their young, but they certainly don't let them go hungry. The young are quick to learn where their next meal is coming from. Since the young birds mature so slowly, not even breeding until they're 4 years old, the parents will continue to bring them food for quite a while. The most outstanding feature of the pelican is the huge expandable pouch under its beak. Despite the old rhyme about the pelican that its beak can hold more than its belly can, it isn't used for storage at all, but to scoop fish out of the water. Pelicans may look funny waddling along the ground, but in the air it's another story. It would be hard to find any bird that flies with more grace or endurance. That's even more remarkable when you consider the weight those wings have to support. An adult pelican averages about 20 pounds. Pelicans also know the vulture's trick of catching an updraft and coasting for hours on the wind. They've been known to ride an updraft as high as 8,000 feet. Thanks to the people who help maintain the security of their islands, it looks like the pelican is going to be able to hold its own. Some casualties still happen because of the buildup of chemical insecticides in the food chain. If we continue to be more and more careful in their use, I think the white pelican will be around for my son Zach and perhaps even his children to enjoy. You know, I wouldn't go dive bombing in the Rockies with just anybody, especially in places so tight you practically need grease on the wingtips to get through. But when my friend Wayne Russell from the Colorado Division of Wildlife invited me to help him nosedive some very rare greenback trout into a remote lake high up in these mountains, well, that was an offer I simply couldn't refuse.
Cranks up and down.
The plane special holding tanks are practically full of fingerlings now, but we'll pick up a few more to top them off before we head for the lake.
Okay. I'll be right back. It is beautiful today.
Get all them little beauties dropped off?
They're great.
Going like clockwork.
There we go. Last few in there. Okay, and the next installment.
That's so far out.
There you go.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Dad.
There you go, Wayne.
Look at those guys.
100 years ago, these greenback trout were in just about every stream in the Rockies. Then came the gold rush. People, pollution, and the introduction of more competitive species. By 1937, everybody agreed the greenback was a dead fish. Then came the 50s and a fantastic discovery. A very few greenbacks were found in a couple of national park streams. We'd been given a second chance. And right away, another kind of rush was on. Guys started flying them up to some of the high lakes and dumping them out of buckets. And it began to work. Thanks to them and guys like Wayne, the greenback is coming back.
Our weight's way back on us.
Yes, it is today.
Wayne, how many fish are we going to drop now?
Well, we got about 5,000 on this load, John.
5,000 one load?
5,000.
Is that the same for every lake you go to? Or?
No, it depends on the size of the acreage of the lake.
Is that right?
Right.
Now, I understand there's a real art to this. You have to be right where you want to be. And where is that?
Well, about 75 to 100 feet and about 80 miles an hour.
Why is that?
Well, if we were singing 300 feet or higher, the fish would dry up before they hit the water. And if we're lower than that and too fast, the fish would skip and on impact and they would kill them. So,
Well, that's it, right?
all right, get ready.
All right, you tell me wherever you want to go. I'm ready. That's great. Yes, sir. Look good to me. That's fantastic, Wayne. Good flying. Well, Wayne, I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay, I'll tell you when.
All right.